Today on the Sartorial Chef, it is fan favorites. I am cooking up a few classic dishes from my repertoire for some special events going on this weekend. First off, it's my cosmopolitan jello shots. Then, it's my caramel apple spice cake with fresh apples from the garden. Everybody's sure to love this at my dance class tonight. Then, it's my hearty chili with beans. But you can't have chili without cornbread. Homemade cornbread, that is. It's for a cook-off at my church. I hope I win. So why don't you pull up a chair and dine with me?
Today is a big weekend for me. I have several events going on. First is a sort of open house mixer at this dance aerobics class that I take. And I have been tasked to bring some kind of liquor and some kind of dessert. So, I'm starting with some jello shots. I made these back in the summer. I'm doing a little different take on them this time around. They're cosmopolitan jello shots. Last time I had sour apple Jolly Rancher jello, but I did not find that today. And I did see some cranberry jello. So we're just going to switch things up a bit with our flavors, but we're still going to get the same result. So I've got 2 packs of jello here. I've got kind of the bigger box and the small box here. We're going to get about 24 servings out of this. And I've already got my water boiling here. I just follow the directions on the jello packet. So it's 3 cups. For the bigger package, it's 2 cups of water to boiling water to 2 cups of cold water. And for the smaller package, it's 1. So I've got 3 cups of boiling water going on in here right now. And you just want to mix that in good until everything is good and dissolved. Get that off of your whisk. Now instead of the cold water, of course, we're replacing our liquor here. And I've got a lime simple syrup still like last time. And this is a cran apple pucker. Okay, that looks good and dissolved. I'm just going to turn that off the heat. And that is the timer for my cake. I am preheating my oven to make a caramel apple spice cake. Again, which I have made before. This one's going to be a little different variation on that recipe as well. It's all about favorites this weekend. People have favorite dishes in mind that they like, and that is what I am bringing to the table here. So we need 3 cups here of our liquor, but I'm only going to do about 2.5 cups, and then I'm going to do a ½ cup of our lime simple syrup, and that's going to give us our cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan is a famous kind of martini of sorts from Manhattan, of course, popularized by the show Sex and the City. Anybody that watches that. Took a while before it made its way over here, but it's always a favorite. You can't go wrong. So we're just going to do a ½ cup there. Okay, we should be pretty good. I'm just going to give this another little stir here just to make sure everything is well mixed. And I can smell the apple, I can smell the lime, so I know it's going to be good. We'll get rid of that guy there. I'm going to save my cup because I'm going to use this to kind of dish this up here. And I've already got, I just got some little cups here, and then we're just going to take our mixture here and pour it right inside. I'm going to fill them about halfway up. I don't want too much there, because again it is a shot. Okay, those are our shots. Just wipe up here. This is sticky, so we don't want to leave it too long. It'll not be pretty. Now these are just going to go in my fridge for a couple hours till they set. And they will be ready for the party, and then we will move on to my cake next. Stay tuned. Alright, welcome back, guys. Our Jello shots are chilling in the fridge, and I am moving on to my cake. It is my caramel apple spice cake. I'm going a little different this time. I'm using fresh apples. These are apples from my trees in the backyard that I've picked, and I have cooked and I have canned. I'm going to do about 2 cans here. These are just sliced apples. I'm going to cook them down here in the skillet. A little butter, a little brown sugar, a little cinnamon. They're going to get nice and caramelized. And then we'll put our cake together. Alright, so I just drained the liquid off of these. So we don't want the liquid in our cake. And these are still pretty juicy, so they're going to kind of create their own kind of liquid anyways. Alright, you can hear these babies sizzle. I'm going to throw in a little butter here, because butter never hurt anyone. Just a couple tablespoons to help get the caramelization going. I've got some brown sugar here. I'm going to do about a couple tablespoons of brown sugar, and I'm just going to sprinkle that right over top. And lastly, some cinnamon. About a teaspoon of cinnamon. And just sprinkle that right over top the apples. And then we're going to give this a little stir. We want all of our ingredients to be well incorporated here. And what that butter's going to do, it's going to work with the sugar and help kind of give us a bit of a glaze, which is what we want for the bottom of our cake. And you just want to cook these apples down until they're nice and tender and soft. You don't want them to be mush, but you want them to be a little tender because they're going to continue to cook in the oven. Oh yeah, these are getting nice and beautifully caramelized. Guys, they look amazing. I'm going to go ahead and turn them down just a smidge. Now, like last time, I am using a store-bought mix. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. But I like to just use this as a canvas to impart my own flavors. So it's kind of like semi-homemade. And I'm just using a regular white cake mix. What I like about the white, it doesn't have a whole lot of flavor to it. So you can really take it and kind of turn it into anything. Now the thing with these box cake mixes, you got a lot of lumps. So I love to take the mix and run it through a sieve, and that just makes the all the dry ingredients nice and smooth and fine. So when you go to mix in your wet, you avoid lumps. See, and we've got lumps here. That's exactly why I do this. Just come in here with clean hands and push the rest of this through. We don't want to lose any of our dry. We're going to need that. We need our half cup here. So we need a cup of water. So I'm just going to do a cup. Sometimes I use milk, sometimes I use water. Milk kind of gives you a more creamier finish, but the apples are pretty liquidy themselves, so you really don't need as much liquid as you would regular cake. And then we need a half cup of vegetable oil. And 3 large eggs at room temperature, and that is it. So it's pretty simple. Another reason I like the box cake mix, it's just not very complicated, not a whole lot of ingredients. You don't have to like measure out specific amounts of cake flour and baking powder and baking soda and all that. They do all that for you. Okay, our apples are looking good. I'm going to turn them on low. We're getting a nice thick caramel going. Alright. I'm going to add this in 1 egg at a time. So I want to watch for eggshells. Nothing worse than finding an eggshell in your cake. Okay. And then we need about a ½ teaspoon of vanilla extract. And then I'm going to give this a good whisk, just to get our base ingredients incorporated. Kind of break these eggs up. And I just like to come in at the sides here. Sometimes our dry ingredients like to hide on the sides of the bowl. They don't want to join the party, so you got to come up here and work that in. Alright, these apples are pretty good. I'm going to turn them off. We got a nice caramel going out of those. Alright, this looks pretty good. And I like to mix by hand. Hand mixers and mixing machines, I feel like you can overwork the batter. You get, once you overwork that gluten in the flour, you get a really dense product. Now to turn this white cake into a spice cake, I have a few different things here. First we're going to start off with some cinnamon. We're going to do about a tablespoon of cinnamon. I want this cake to be really jazzy here. Okay, I've got some nutmeg. Nutmeg's a little stronger, so we're going to do about a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. I've got some cloves here. We're also going to do about a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. They're a little strong. To bring just a teensy bit of heat and just a little bit of a kick, I'm going to do about an 1/8 teaspoon of cayenne. And to really make our spice cake funky here, I've got some gram masala. Gram masala is Indian spice. It's used in like curries and things. It kind of has a little bit of a sweetness to it, a nuttiness. And I'm going to do about a ½ teaspoon of that, just enough that you know it's in there. So that's just going to really give us something here. I'm going to come in here and whisk our spices in, and you can already see we've taken our white cake and we've kind of given it a whole new personality here, a whole new color. Alright, I just want to kind of give her a little taste here. Ooh, those spices are just dancing in my mouth. They're delicious. You get just a smidge of heat from the cayenne. Kind of creeps up on you at the end. The cinnamon, the clove, the nutmeg, all classic. And then that gram masala just gives you a little kind of earthiness, a little different note. Alright. Since this cake is to go, I have a throwaway dish here. I love using these because I can just leave the dish, take what you want, and I can head home and, you know, forget about it. So I've greased this just so it's easier to get our cake out of there. Now first things first is the apples. They're going to go in the bottom here. Make sure we get all that delicious caramel out of here. That is where the flavor is. It's going to be a nice, sweet, indulgent cake. And then I'm just going to kind of spread these out. Nice, even layer. You can break some of these up if you have to, just to cover the bottom. I want everybody to get a bite of apple in the cake. That's why I like to spread it out here. So that's pretty good. And then we're going to pour our batter right over top. Just do a nice even layer. And then you can kind of go back and fill in. And my house is going to smell like a candle shop here while this cake bakes. We have all these fall flavors coming up the temp, and it's just going to fill my kitchen. with amazing aromas. Okay. I'm just going to come in here and smooth this out. It's not a big deal if you don't have every inch of this pan covered with the apples, but you do want to make sure that you've completely covered the apples with the cake, or you're going to get an uneven bake if there's any pieces sticking up. I'm just going to kind of smooth that over. Alright, the oven has been preheated. It's at 450 degrees. This cake is going to go for about 35 to 40 minutes, depending on what vessel you use to cook your cake in. And I like using this pan here because it kind of provides a more even heat, and in case there's any kind of spillage, it's good for catching that as well. It's a lot easier to clean this pan than it is to clean the oven. So I'm going to set my timer here to 35 minutes. We'll check it at 35 minutes, and we'll do my famous toothpick test. Alright, time to check on our cake. Oh, it looks amazing. I don't even need to poke this, guys. I can already tell that it is nice and cooked. I'm just going to come in here, let you guys get a look at this. Nice and brown on top. You can hear those apples sizzling. Now, so this comes out of the pan nice and evenly. When I go to serve it later, I'm going to just take my pan here and set it on top of this drying rack so we can let it cool on all sides, and then it should just plop right out when we go to serve it later. Guys, I've just worked up a sweat. I really love the jello shots. Putting some on my cake now. So moist. You get those wonderful warm spices. And then the apple. It melts in your mouth so good. Tomorrow is the chili cook-off at church. So, okay, we are back, and let me tell you guys, my glutes are still sore from my class last night, but it was so much fun. Now today is the chili cook-off. I know I've showed you guys a chili recipe before. I'm doing a little different take on mine today. This one is actually for a competition, so I'm pulling out all the stops. So, of course, to any chili or soup, you have to start with an onion. So I've just got one medium-sized onion here that I'm dicing up. This is a really flavorful recipe, but it's going to be really quick and simple. So I've got my onion here. Just want to peel the skin off. You don't want the skin in your chili. Okay, that is just one medium onion. It's going to go into my soup pot here. I've already got this going with a little olive oil. We're just going to let these onions sweat down a bit. Give them a little help here with some salt and just a little bit of pepper. That's going to add layers of flavor here, which you know I'm all about layers. And what the salt does is it brings out the natural juices of the onion and just lets them render down nicely. And then the oil is going to give them a nice little bit of texture. So I'm just going to let this. And then of course I've got my beans. I like to use kidney beans. I've got some diced tomatoes, and then I've got my tomato paste. So we're just going to go ahead and nip these guys up here. Right, to this, I'm going to go ahead and add my beans. Right, and my tomatoes. Spain for the tomato paste because it likes to be stubborn and stay inside. So let me see here. Give these a little stir real quick. And I'm going to add my stock here. Now I know what you're thinking. Where's the beef? Ta-da! One thing I love to do with ground beef, if you can catch it on sale at the grocery for like crazy cheap, I will get one of those like giant loaves and I will fry it all up. I will take what I need at the time, and the rest I will section off into little bags like this in the freezer. You just mark it. This one is from back in August. And you portion it out, you know, and then you're good to go. And what's great about this, it's already cooked, it's already seasoned, so literally I can throw this in when my stock gets to about a boil, and this will just fall right into the soup. Now seasoning you're good to go. A little Worcestershire. A couple tablespoons. That's going to give us a nice, it's going to give it a nice oomph, a nice richness. I've got some cinnamon here. We're going to do about a tablespoon of cinnamon. This is going to have a lot of flavor, a lot of kick. I've also got some cayenne here. I'm going to do about a half teaspoon of the cayenne. It's a little strong. Chili powder. Also do about a half teaspoon of the chili powder. I have got some garlic powder here. I'm going to do about a tablespoon of that. Our sauce is already smelling really great. I'm going to bring it up because I want it to come to a boil. And then we'll add our meat and we will be good to go. Now while this gets going, I'm going to move on to this is a really simple cornbread recipe. Because my dry ingredients are already mixed for me. I know you're thinking box mix again, but it really is easier. You don't have to worry about leaveners or anything like that. They do it all for you. I mean, it's perfect. And this makes about the same amount of portions that I would normally make with a homemade recipe. Now, I'm only halfway cheating because I'm going to add a lot of things to this mix to really make it something different. So it's not going to be just a typical box mix. So there's those two. Now we do need to follow the recipe on here. So we do need 2/3 cup milk. That's a third each. And we are going to need an egg per box. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out. I discussed this earlier with the cake recipe, but anytime I'm using a box mix or anything kind of semi-already made, I love to run it through a sieve. You can see, especially this here, lump city. That is no good. We do not want lumpy cornbread. We want all of our ingredients to be well incorporated. So, I'm just going to sift this down. And you can see here all these lumps. This is exactly why I'm doing this. It's also just going to be easier to mix it without all these lumps in it. Just come in here with some clean hands and run the rest of this through. We want to get all of this out of here so it bakes properly. This has all of our leaveners in it and everything. Okay, now for our wet ingredients, we're going to start with the milk. We need 2/3 cup. That's a 1/3 cup per box. Add this now. And then we've got 2 eggs. I'm just going to save my cup here to put my shells in. We want to be careful one egg at a time to make sure we avoid any eggshells. We do not want eggshells in our cornbread. There we go. Okay, got some hands off here. This is actually starting to look good here, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw my meat in. It kind of let it simmer. We're just gonna drop this whole pack in, actually. And as it starts to cook down, we'll break it up some, but I just want to kind of let it naturally work its way into the chili. Okay, so we've got our 2 eggs. We're done with that. I like a nice, moist, sweet cornbread. I do not like that dry, crumbly stuff. So I've got a little vanilla extract here. 1/2 teaspoon of that. I've got some sugar. I usually do a 1/4 cup per box, so we're going to do 1/2 cup. Yeah. Some salt and pepper here, always salt and pepper. About a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, just for a teensy bit of kick. Do about a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne. Now my secret to really moist cornbread is mayonnaise, and it has to be the good mayonnaise, Hellmann's. None of that fat-free junk, not Miracle Whip. Hellmann's mayonnaise. What's great about mayonnaise, it has such a low melting temperature, it takes longer to melt than anything else. So what it's going to do is it's going to slowly work itself into our batter while it bakes, and you're just going to get a nice, really soft product here. And we're just going to do a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise here, so that's just a couple dollops. And then we're just going to come in here and mix this up. Right. And see, what happens when we sift our dry ingredients is like this is already ready to go. So it's, you know, when you have those lumps, you're just working and working. It's no good. This is ready to go. Okay. Got some muffin tins here. Like I said, this recipe makes a few dozen. So I'm just gonna spray these down. Got some coconut oil here. I like the coconut oil for baking because you're not really adding any like extra fat into what you're making. It's just a nice clean oil. And this thing is great. It has a nice spray nozzle, so it's really easy application here. I like using an ice cream scooper because you know you're going to get the same measurement for each piece. I'm just going to come in here with a little bit of my batter. I'm going to drop it right in. Now you could easily throw this into a cake pan if you wanted to do like square cornbread, but I feel like the muffins are easier to deal with, especially when you're cooking like on a grand scale and you want something that's easier to travel. I like the muffins better. And you don't have to worry about it falling apart on you, you know, when you're cutting it up. You just plop them out. And I have a nice little to-go container that I'm going to be bringing them in. So just come in here and fill the rest of these. Alright. That is the last of our batter. I do want to come back because I had a little oopsie here. We don't want any of this. You don't want to leave any of this on top. It's going to make a mess. Easy to do when you're baking. Okay. Alright, like I said, my oven is preheated. These are going to go in for about 15 to 20 minutes. I just like to do, you can kind of tell when they're done, but you can always do the toothpick test if you're not sure. But I'm going to set them for 15 minutes at least, and we'll check on them and see if they're ready to come out. Stay tuned. Alright, cornbread is ready to come out. My chili is good. I've taken it off the heat. Oh yes, guys, this is looking amazing. Nice. I didn't want to fill it too high. I just want a nice little piece of cornbread. I'm going to let these cool in the drying racks for a few minutes. I've got a nice little to-go container I'm going to put these in to take with me. And I just need to transfer my chili to a crock pot so it'll stay warm at the church. And we'll be ready to go. So I will see you guys later. Alright guys, chili cook-off time. We've got a break in the weather today, so I'm enjoying a little outside chili. Really stiff competition this year. Venison chili, a brisket chili, Santa Fe chili, all great. I've tried them all, and I've chosen my favorites, and I'm moving on to my own. So here we go. So good. Nice warm chili on a cool autumn day. Just the right amount of heat. The chili, the beans, the tomatoes all come together nicely. Absolutely delicious. You're never gonna love my cornbread. So as always, we are doing it so torture. Until next time, bon appetit.